Okay, let's see if this is working. I have no idea if this is actually working, but I'm Sherman D. Manning, and I'm coming to you live from USC. I am right outside of USC. I took a couple of photos earlier, but quite frankly, I don't know how to upload them yet and put them on Facebook. But I will find someone later on or perhaps tomorrow to pull them out of my gallery and post them with all deliberate speed. Hands up, don't shoot. Black Lives Matter. I want to talk a moment about the fact that we have a group of Republicans who are running for commander in chief who have not, in one of their multiplicity of debates this year, not once have they uttered the words hands up, don't shoot. They have not said I can't breathe. They have not mentioned Black Lives Matter. They have not talked about criminal justice. They have not talked about the fact that this great country that we call America spends $81 billion per year on prisons, on criminal justice. And the criminal justice system in this country is criminal, but there's no justice. The rich get richer and the poor get prisoned. And something needs to take place. As I've indicated on numerous occasions, I was wrongly convicted of rape. And as a person convicted of that kind of crime, I'm supposed to come out of the prison system and lay under a bridge, go somewhere and hide my face and hold my head down toward the ground. But James Scott Manning and Dolly Mae Manning, the most beautiful woman I ever met in my lifetime, they did not raise a coward, nor did they raise a person who is unwilling to fight for what he believes in. And I believe that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was right when he said that justice is what love looks like in public. Let me say that again. Justice is what love looks like in public. And so I believe that justice will end up prevailing. I will not spend the rest of my life registering for a crime that I did not commit. We will come up with new evidence. We will fight to overturn this wrongful conviction, and justice will eventually prevail. But you got to fight, and I believe in fighting. So I stand amongst a lot of other brothers who have gone through what I've gone through and others who have come this way before. I stand shoulder to shoulder with Brian Banks, with Reuben Hurricane Carter, with Ronald Cotton, with Christopher Bird, with Rolando Cruz. I stand shoulder to shoulder with Pete Rose, not the baseball player, and others who have seen their lives almost destroyed because someone made up an accusation and they ended up getting locked up and experiencing incarceration. But it is as if I have just got released from hell and live to tell about it. And so my job is to testify about what I've learned in the system. Let me take a moment to remind each of you that I am the author of 22 books. And my most recent book, which published a couple of weeks ago, is called The Truth About O.J. Simpson. If you're watching the FX series, The People versus O.J. Simpson, you need to read this book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson. This book is not just about O.J., but it is also about the no-J's of the system. This is one of the most excruciatingly painful books I've ever written, and I won't elaborate on that. You get the book and you'll see why, but I think you will not be disappointed if you go to your local bookstore or go to Amazon.com and pick up a copy of The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. I have a chapter called Hands Up, Don't Shoot. I deal with police brutality. I deal with prison guard malfeasance. I deal with all of those issues. And I sat in prison for more than a decade watching reporters report on prisons. And half the time they had no clue as to what they were talking about. I would watch them make rudimentary errors, such as calling prisons jail and vice versa. And I would hear them talking about how the inmates had cell phones and they were smuggled in mostly through visiting. Let me correct that error quite quickly with all deliberate speed. I know that the people who run the departments of corrections would have you believe that, because it makes them look better. It makes them look better if it seems like the way cell phones are smuggled into prisons predominantly are from family members of inmates who are visiting them and bringing them in. 90% of all cell phones which are smuggled into prisons come in by guards. Period. Point blank. Exclamation point. One day I was in handcuffs and I was being escorted by a prison guard to a particular place of the prison. And a gentleman standing inside said to another guard, he said, "There's a criminal outside and he has a convict with him." There's a criminal outside and he has a convict with him. So even this plumber was cognizant of the fact that the guard himself was a criminal. It takes a certain kind of person to wake up one morning and decide that they want to become a prison guard. And let me preface this area of criticism by saying that I have met guards who are good guys. I've met guards who are just there for their 8 hours and do their best to do their job and return home safely to their family. Kudos to them. It is not all prison guards, but there's a lot of them, baby. And think about it this way. I was arguing with the prison guard one day. He was calling me everything except a child of God. And so I had to go there with him because, quite frankly, if you go there with me, I'm going to respond. I believe that if you hit me, I have a right to hit you back. Now, I'm not going to be the aggressor. Never be the aggressor. Never, 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 never be the aggressor. But Malcolm used to say, if anybody puts their hands on you, take them to the cemetery. Break their spine. Now, I don't necessarily support that, going that far, but I will punch back. And so the guard was calling me all of these names, and I explained to him that I told him that he had seen more penises than his wife had seen, that he watches more men's private parts in a day than his wife sees in a month's time. And he was livid. He almost attacked me. But I was explaining to him that as a part of his job, he routinely has to look at the male anatomy, both the front and the back, and examine these things meticulously. And what kind of man was he? And I'm not going to go too far into it because I want to keep this PG if I can. This is not a rated R show. Excuse me. But nevertheless, my point to him was, everybody can criticize and everybody is in a position to find fault with someone else if they want. But please believe me when I tell you, 80 to 90% of the cell phones, the drugs, the weapons smuggled into the prison system are smuggled in by prison guards. I'm talking about guys like Jimmy McCartney at New Folsom State Prison, guys like Ryan Winker, who was at New Folsom State Prison, guys like Orozco at Donovan State Prison, guys like Sergeant Vogel at Corcoran State Prison. I could go on and on. Sergeant Porter at New Folsom State Prison, Sergeant Joseph Stratton at New Folsom State Prison. I have an entire chapter about this thug in my book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. These are wicked people. I saw some of the most evil people you could ever meet in your lifetime in prison, and some of them were actually inmates. If I told you some of the things I've seen men do to other men in prison, you would not sleep for a week. So believe you me when I tell you that something must be done about corrections, something must be done about criminal justice, something must be done about policing in this country. We're not supposed to be afraid of our police. They're supposed to be here to protect, and they're supposed to be here to serve. We're not supposed to be afraid of them. And by the way, this is Sherman D. Manning. I don't know whether you know it or not. I've authored a new book titled The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. And this very moment, I'm lost, quite frankly. I'm in Los Angeles. Don't know the city at all. Don't know it at all. I'm standing outside of USC. It's a humongous place, and it's night. I can't read the signs here, so I'm going to have to sign off in a moment and cut on GPS, which I'm just learning how to use, believe it or not. But nevertheless, I need to know if anyone is actually hearing this broadcast. If you can hear it, send me an email, shermandmanning@yahoo.com. I just need someone to to email me and let me know that you could hear this. ShermanDManning@yahoo.com. Somebody send me an email and at least say that you heard this. Donald is a devil. He's a narcissist. He's a and we say narcissist, casually as if it means nothing. But when you say narcissist, you're talking about guys like Charles Manson. You're talking about guys like Eric Menendez, and I know all of them personally. Believe me, and I don't say that with any pride or any fanfare, thinking that you should shake my hand or applaud me because I know sadistic killers, but I do know them. I worked with Eric Menendez for 7 years in one prison. We talked on a daily basis after the first year. Now, the first year I would not speak to him at all because I did not want to associate with someone who killed his own mom and dad. When you got to the mom part, I just couldn't, So one day I spoke my piece and told him what I thought about him. And after that, since we were working together in close quarters, we began to communicate quite frequently. And I wish I could tell you that he's a great guy, just made a mistake or something like that. But he's a sadistic killer. He is beyond conceited. He walks around. This is a man who blew his mother's head off and killed his father. And he has the audacity, the temerity to walk around the prison as if he has done the nation a favor. And I'm not embellishing when I tell you that Eric reminds me of Donald, the guy running for president. I don't like calling his last name. He reminds me of him. They really have a lot in common. If you listen to Eric talk, you listen to Donald. If you listen to Donald talk, you listen to Eric. Here's a guy who has a severe psychological illness. And any psychiatrist or psychologist, if you get them to be honest, and they're probably afraid of being sued, if you get them to be honest, they'll tell you that Donald has a mental problem. He cannot be trusted with the codes to the nuclear arsenal. And the American media have given him a pass, either because they're afraid of him or just because they love the ratings, because he's an entertainer, or a combination of the two. But they've given him a pass. But we're not going to give him a pass. There's something wrong with this man. Get my book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Visit www.napsusa.org. That's N as in needle, A as in apple, P as in Paul, S as in Sherman, USA.org. And take a listen to the things that we're trying to do. Please, somebody out there in America, send me an email and let me know that this broadcast is actually working, because I am not very familiar with YouTube, anything like that, and I don't know whether or not this is actually broadcasting. Let me know, please, with all deliberate speed. Sherman D. Manning, keep hope alive.